All right, guys, we're going to talk about two-way tables here. And two-way tables you can recognize because they have two separate sets of categories for the same data. All right, so we took some data and we separated it by male and female, and we also separated it by sport. Okay, so, sorry. All right, so I want to talk about a couple things. The first one is joint frequencies. Okay, a joint frequency. A joint frequency is anything on the inside of the table, okay, that joins the two categories together. So that joins the sport and whether they're male or female. Okay, so let's say I have 16 would be a joint frequency, and it would mean 16 people, 16 females play basketball, where I join those two together. So 16 females play basketball. That is a joint frequency. Okay, so let's get rid of that. Now let's talk about 20. 20 is also a joint frequency. It's on the inside of the table, and it joins the male and the football. So 20 male play football. That's how you would determine a joint frequency, okay? So it's all these numbers in the white on the inside of that table. A marginal frequency, let's do that in purple. So the marginal frequencies are my totals. So these totals and these totals, okay? This total right here is very important because that tells me how many people were surveyed, how many people are involved in the survey. There's 100 people, okay? So that number is really important when we're talking about how many people. So the totals here should add down, okay? So this should add down to 100, and this should add across to 100. They should both be equal to 100. So if I want to talk about marginal frequencies, it's any of these in the yellow. And I would just look 48. What does that represent? 48 represents the total male people in the survey. And 52 are the female people in the survey. If you look at over here on the bottom of the 36, there's 36 people in the survey play baseball. 31 people prefer basketball, and 33 people prefer football. Those are our marginal frequencies. So if you have to interpret them, you would say 36 people play baseball, 31 people in the survey play basketball, 33 people in the survey play football. There were 100 people surveyed altogether. 52 people are female, 48 are male. Those are our marginal frequencies. Okay, so those are our totals. Now, what we're going to talk about is our relative frequencies. And relative frequencies typically join a joint frequency, compare a joint frequency with a marginal frequency. So I may ask you, what's the relative frequency of being a female basketball player in this survey? A female basketball player. So I'm going to find the female basketball players. There's 16 of them out of 100 all together. And if I wanted to make that into a percent is out of 100, so it would be 16%. Okay? So if I wanted, I might say the relative frequency of males playing football compared to all the males. So the males playing football right here, males playing football compared to all the males, that's being compared to 48%. Okay, so now you have this, and now you might want to turn this into a percent. Okay, so if you're going to turn this into a percent, you can simplify. I'm going to divide them both by 4. And I'm going to get 5 over 12. And then from there, you can turn that into a percent. There's a couple of ways to do it. So I'm going to take 5/12. Oops. I'm going to show you what I think the easiest way is. In a calculator, you just do 5 divided by 12. And you'd get a decimal, and you'd move the decimal 2 places to the right to make a percent. But percent means out of 100. So I don't know what number out of 100. So I could make a ratio and set it up like this. I'm trying to find out I'm trying to find out here what percent, so what number out of 100 is 5/12, and then I could just do cross multiplication like this, okay? And so 12 times x is 12x, and 5 times 100 is 500. And then I would divide both sides by 12, and 12 goes into 50 4 times with 2 remaining, so I left with 41. And then, I'm sorry, so yeah, that goes in 48, and then it's left 20. 12 goes into 20, and then we're left with 8 12s. Okay, so 41 and 8 12s. Or if I simplified that, it would be 41 and 2/3%. So that's, let me write that here, 41 and 2/3%, or 41.67%. And that's how we would do that. That's how we would do that problem. So that's a relative frequency. And relative frequencies are the hardest ones because you have to turn them into percent. Sometimes they just let you leave them as a fraction. But in any case, this is the easiest way to solve a percent problem if you're not sure how to turn a fraction into percent. Remember that relative frequency, you're comparing two things. So you have to pay close attention to what they're asking you to compare and make sure you're comparing the right things. Joint frequencies, again, joint frequencies are these numbers in the middle that join the sport with the sex of the person, okay? So 15 would be a joint frequency, and it would be 15 male play basketball. Marginal frequencies, marginal are going to be in the margin, okay? They're your totals. Marginal frequency are your totals. And relative is what you connect. And that's how we would do two-way tables.